Okay, so can everybody see? It's okay?
Yes, we can see and
Okay,
hear
thank
you.
you. Excellent, thank you. Okay, so as it was said, my name is Susan Laura Sullivan. I'm from Tokai University, and what I'll be presenting on today is establishing peer rapport through the use of mnemonics. I'll be covering some of the issues that um, the last presentation actually touched upon just slightly. Mnemonics are where you use a similar sounding word to remember another word or to remember something. So for example, my name is Sue. If I want students to remember my name, sometimes we'll use an English word like summer. So I'll say I'm Summer Sue and I like swimming. So we have a SSS sound. So I'll be looking more at that in this presentation. I've presented on it a few times, different aspects. So wellness in the classroom is quite important nowadays, as it always should have been. And particularly in the US, it has been called like a psychologically or identity safe classroom in which students feel comfortable. It's not necessarily linked to academic performance. I have found that students do seem to get along quite well with each other and enjoy the class more if they do know one another's names. And research on it has shown that there are a lot of benefits to it. So from 2022, I have been analyzing survey results, asking university level students about the benefits of learning one another's names in the class. That's especially from 2024 onwards. Prior to that, the students independently in feedback were letting me know that they enjoyed the activities where they learnt one another's names. So therefore, I thought I should study this because one of the questions was, what did you particularly enjoy in this class? And they quite often said learning one another's names. Overwhelmingly, students seem to feel that learning each other's names is beneficial. Not to say everybody does, but the vast majority. And many also mention the advantage of being able to communicate with their classrooms in non-English classroom situations, similar to the last slides we just saw of students talking to one another about topics outside of class. So within our classrooms, we do try to build community, I think, and a sense of belongingness, which is a Finn term. And if we feel we belong somewhere, it can foster our confidence, it can encourage exploration of identity, and it can also precede motivation and engagement, particularly in the classroom, which can help our social and our academic successes. So some other advantages of belongingness. So students have commented within my class on the use of names, nicknames beyond the English classroom. Most students say that the classes are fun, they enjoy speaking to their classmates. Some other research has said that if students feel that teachers know their names, sorry, I went a little far. Yeah, sorry, skipping that. So, oh yeah, there we go. So if they feel that they think that teachers know their names, they're more likely to approach a supervisor. It can also lessen gender discrimination in some cases. And yeah, and then there's meant to be more of a feeling of belonging or safeness and so on. There can be future advantages, such as building positive relationships. So, for example, employers are more likely to employ people from um, networking if they're being recommended to them. And there can be a lateral application of skills in our life from one field to the other. And I think that can apply to friendships as well. If we know people, they can teach us and introduce us to a great many different things. So if people have seen some of my other presentations, they will have seen this quote before, which is from the major study that surveyed a group of about 100 biology students in a US university on the use of name tense, and I'll talk about those soon as well. But anyway, knowing students' names and students knowing one another names, there hasn't been so much research done on that, is a low effort, high impact practice. So if we're expanding upon these benefits, let me quickly go. Okay, there we go. So some of the benefits found again were communication was easier and more likely because names were used. Possible horizons were broadened because barriers to communication were lessened. The further non-classroom casual discussion of classroom topics was observed. Community was built and helped student confidence if they forgot names. This is from the report on the 100 biology students, and erased a sense of not belonging and an attitude of no one caring due to being a new student, which again is something that Curtis commented on, and students ceasing to be a face in the crowd. So within my own classrooms, they do a feedback at the end of semester. This is a listening and speaking class first year and a reading and writing class. One of the classes has 40 plus students. The other class has below 30 students. And it alternates from semester to semester. They meet twice a week, 100 minutes for each lesson. So they have 28 lessons together. And so the specific questions that I asked in 2025 and 2024 were, what did they think about learning one another's names, and what were advantages or disadvantages? Was it useful? And I also used a Likert scale on the use of knowing names was useful. I'll show you a graphic of that soon. And this is for the class that was using memory mnemonics. So for example, you can see 25 people responded. So that class had 29 people. So we actually remembered everybody's name and what they call nicknames, mnemonics. This class here is 37 out of 42. I find that memorization is not as effective because the classes are just too big. So we tend to use name tense, and I'll talk about those in a second as well. And so what are the advantages of using name tense? Are there advantages or disadvantages? And the questions were slightly different in the other years, mostly asking advantages or disadvantages. The one from 2023 didn't actually use either of those words in the question. So general attitudes towards learning names. This is a 2025 in spring. The question for the smaller classroom was on a scale of 1 to 4, with 1 being strongly agree and 4 being disagree strongly. Please choose how useful it was for you to know your classmates' names. So out of 25 responses, 15 strongly agreed, 8 disagreed. 8 agreed, 1 disagreed, and 1 strongly disagreed. However, these 2 students who chose these options wrote positively about learning names when answering the previous question. In the larger class, so it was again how useful the use of name tense was for them. Out of 37 students, strongly agree was 18, agree was 16, disagree 2, strongly disagree 1. And this is again from the larger classroom, just a word cloud. And so the kind of words that they were using was just you're able to know more people more quickly. You could remember people's names, tense are useful, and so on. I'll give specific responses soon. Okay, so we'll skip those 2, maybe come back to them. So this one was kind of like about students knowing each other's name. They were able to connect with people outside of the classroom. So you can see in the highlighted sections there. So it's useful because it helps students feel closer to others. When they saw them in the hallway, they could talk to them. And even outside of class, they could call them by name, and so on. feedback from other years is also quite positive. Most of that feedback was first semester spring 2025. Yeah, okay, so generally classes are smaller, you get more out of the activity than classes with 40 plus students, but that's not to say the larger classes don't find benefits in it. So how to implement and encourage the use of names while also introducing grammatical and communicative practices. So I spoke about the mnemonics, which is both of them use mnemonics, but one uses a verbal mnemonic and remembering the members in the classroom. The other uses a name tent. So you can see the name tent here. Students do not put my name on it. They just put their name on it, their mnemonic, their name, and then something they like, using that mnemonic on either side. Some teachers get people to write progress and whatever on the inside of the name tent, but I don't actually do that. So usually we practice the mnemonics with the English word that starts with the same letter as a given name. Students choose that English word, and usually students can use their family name, but they usually choose to use their given name. Also think about something they like, begins with the same letter. Okay, and so it's just basically what I covered. Students are meant to bring the name tent to every class. Some teachers actually bring the name tents themselves every class, but I would just forget them, I think. Both students and teachers can forget this in some ways, because I can forget to ask them to put their name tent on their desk, and they quite often forget to bring their name tent. However, it's easy enough to make, just on a new piece of paper. The code down the bottom there is the credit for that photo. Okay, so these are the responses from the students about the name tents. The other responses earlier were mainly from the classes that used memorization. So most students feel that they are useful because I and their classmates can remember the names more easily. This question was about advantages, disadvantages. So quite a few students did write the disadvantages as well. Most of it's difficult to carry. I don't think it's heavy because it's only paper, but I guess it can get lost quite easily. So I think it helps to remember the name. It's convenient. Communication is easier, had a nice impact. And then, for example, I think name tents are good because names are easy to see. They're useful when I wanted to know someone's name. And I think somebody said they're not good at remembering people's names. So that's beneficial for them. One student said they were useful. This is just in this semester, but they said there were privacy issues. I'm not really sure why, because they're only using their family, not family name, given name, but that's understandable. That was their feeling. Students in classes with name tents have not commented on using names with other students outside the classroom in terms of benefits. They're less likely to actually remember their classmates' names. They will rely on the name tent, even if we do have certain exercises to try and remember. Students in classes using memorization techniques are more likely to remember students' names, and they're also more likely to mention using nicknames, mnemonics, or talking with students from other faculties in other courses outside of the English class. I think I said none of these students are English majors. They're all either humanities students or marine science based students. The class level is either advanced or high intermediate. So ways of supporting memory retention via tag questions, because this is part of the presentation, is also how we do this. So understanding tag questions, I think, is one of the more difficult grammar points to get across, especially due to difference in agreeing with negative sentences. So for example, if I said what would I say? It isn't very warm today, is it? In English, we would say no, it isn't. But in Japanese, you'd probably say,
My name is Reiko Costa from NAS. Today, I would like to talk about recognition of Tokyo and
okay, I had a hijacker into my presentation, but that's okay. You can still all hear me, right?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, excellent, no problem. So for example, the way that we respond to tag questions with a negative sentence is different. So in English, we tend to say, no, it isn't. Whereas in Japanese, you might say something like, hai arimasen, that kind of thing. The other thing too is positive tags or negative tags do not need to be answered differently. It's only in the inflection or stress. But that's a conceptual the concept's a little hard. However, they're actually relatively easy as long as students treat tag questions as present simple questions. Their answer will nearly always be correct. So what we do to reinforce knowing one another's name and also to reinforce this grammar point, students can check the names of their partners either by using my mnemonic and name or by using someone else's. So if they're with their partner, this is, we can do it with name tent, but they don't see each other's name tent in this case. But for example, you're Samasu, aren't you? No, I'm not. I'm Mouse Mika. And then this avoids the embarrassment of not knowing someone's name and learning someone's name, and it reinforces the grammar point in usage. Initially, I encourage students to use the incorrect answer in their question to make sure that there's more interaction. Then we consider the question about what students like. This practices the use of do verbs in tag questions. So for example, you like music, don't you? No, I don't. I like magic. So as we know in tag questions, if we're using the verb, we have the do, don't tag at the end or vice versa. And we expand tag questions in every class, and students also work in groups of 3 or more where pronouns and verb forms will change. So for example, she is Music Mika, isn't she? No, she isn't. She's Mouse Mika. I see she likes it. So we've got the now. Mandarins, doesn't she? No, she doesn't. So we have, instead of don't, she likes magic. As students get used to the form, they can use it for future events, descriptions, abilities, which means all of these tags will change. Okay, so future research would be including explicit questions or explanations about the benefits of learning tag questions, etc., through this practice. They're my references, and that is all, I think. I've just got an alarm on here, so I'm just going to switch it off. I'll just stop sharing. And if anybody has any questions, I can see there's a chat. Maybe there's a chat question. Oh, yeah. Do I think mnemonic can also apply to? Yes. Oh, please give examples. Well, for example, if I were teaching medicine or something like that, and I wanted to teach a difficult word like pneumonia, well, actually, that's difficult. That's pronunciation and spelling is difficult. So maybe a word like measles. Yeah, I guess just, I don't know, Mickey Measles. I'm not sure. I think you can. I know people do this in Japanese as well. Like they have a picture that maybe matches the word or something like that. So I can't give any solid examples, but if any of the audience members could, that'd be great. But yes, I think so. Yeah. Any other questions? We have 4 minutes. Yes, please, Vivian. Yeah.
What was the major difficulty that you have encountered, like while conducting this in your class?
When can difficulty when the major difficulty is the larger classes, because I have also tried it with memorization in the larger classes, and it just gets too big and it gets a little too tedious. You also have some students who just don't see its worth. You know, like I guess especially the students who particularly want to work by themselves or that kind of stuff. But yeah, for that's the major. For the most part, students seem to enjoy it, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. Yeah. I mentioned you in my presentation, but I've just finished, so it's only question time now. Yeah, Curtis, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry for being late. People were asking me questions. Good
Yeah,
one.
no, that's fine. Yeah, I was just there's quite a few in this class. One of the main reasons why I get students to learn one another's names is to give a psychologically safe classroom, a sense of wellness, and so they can connect and remember, and also so I can actually connect with them a lot more as well. So
Brilliant. That's the social
yeah,
brain work right there. Yeah.
yeah.
Building those bonds between your class students.
Yeah, definitely. And the feedback, generally speaking, is positive. Not always, but yeah, generally speaking. Yeah.
Related to that, Amanda Gillis-Fudutaka was talking about how at the beginning of her online course, she said, you can turn your videos on or off. But then later she said, no, you should have them on. And it changed the way the class felt about
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
The second one.
Japanese
Make sure the
students
videos are on.
won't put their videos
Build
on.
those bonds.
It's true, but the Japanese students rarely put their videos on, and that's like their right, So yeah. And also there's often data issues, which I understand as well. Yeah. Any other questions? No? I'm amazed I got through it in time.
You're doing well. Actually, I was going to send you a message, but
Yeah.
yes.
Popping through there. I was just saying, I do get feedback, Curtis, from my students from every semester to see how they feel about learning one another's names. We do a mnemonic, and we also actually do it as a tag question throughout the semester, so they actually learn the tag question. So, for example, if your mnemonic was Cat Curtis, I might say to you, you are Summer Sue, aren't you? And you'd say, no, I'm not, I'm Cat Curtis. And then we can do it as a three-way system where I could say to Marissa, he is Clumsy Curtis, isn't he? And you'd say, no, he's not, he's Cat Curtis. And then it just helps with the different forms of grammar as well. And then we extend that to a lot of other things too. But yeah.
So do you have your students use mnemonics to remember each other's names?
Yep. Yeah, but I
Like I
have
used to do.
mnemonics or name tense. I have with the smaller classes, I do mnemonics because we can memorize up to about 30 students. But if it's 40 or more, I find name tense are more effective. So we don't necessarily remember, but we've got a way of quickly seeing, one another. Yeah. Okay. I think actually, am I done? The next one starts at 4:45.
45, yes. So you have a minute, actually?
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Two of my devices aren't syncing. One's a minute slower than the other. So yeah.
So I think if no one has any other questions, thank you so much, Professor Sullivan.
Thank
And
you.
if you do have questions, don't hesitate to email her. I think you've provided us with your email address. Thank you.
I think I did. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'll put it in the chat if people want it, but
got it. Susan at Tokai. It's easy enough to remember.
it is easy. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you also.
Bye.